August 13th, 2018, Shanann Watts, who was 15 weeks pregnant, along with Bella Watts, who was 4 years old, and Celeste, who was 3, would be reported missing to the Frederick Police Department. Over the coming days, her husband, Chris Watts, would be charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of unlawful termination of a pregnancy, and 3 counts of tampering with a body. He'd been known as one of America's worst family annihilators. Chris and Shanann Watts met in approximately 2010. 2 years later, by 2012, they were married and was expecting their first child. Bella was born in 2013, and their second daughter, known as Cece, was born in 2015. On the surface, their lives was a picturesque definition of middle-class America. Although they had a modest combined income, this was being outstripped by their outgoings, and in 2015 they filed for bankruptcy. On June the 11th, 2018, Shanann Watts surprises Chris Watts, informing him that they're expecting another child. In July of that year, Chris Watts starts an affair with Nicole Kissinger. On August 9th, 2018, Shanann Watts leaves for Arizona for a business trip. On August 13th, 2018, the day that she was reported missing, she returns home from the business trip at approximately 2 a.m. with her friend Nicole Atkinson. Nicole Atkinson rings the Frederick Police asking for a welfare check for her friend Shanann Watts. No one had seen Shanann Watts that morning and she'd missed a gynecology appointment. Chris Watts shows up some hours later and lets the police in. Shanann Watts' phone is found down the side of the couch. Her purse is found on the side with the children's medications in. Her car is also in the garage with the baby seats in the back. In now famous footage, a helpful neighbour next door called Nate shows the police his camera footage which covers Chris Watts' driveway. Chris Watts looks on horrified. On August 15th, the following day, Chris Watts fails a polygraph test and the police start to lean on him with their interrogation techniques. With his father present, he admits to the murders. However, he constantly changes his story. He'd later go on to confess to actually strangling Shanann Watts in an argument. One of the daughters came in and saw this, and then he had to kill them. The 3 bodies would eventually be found on an oil field where Chris Watts worked. Shanann was buried separately in a shallow grave. Bella and Celeste had been smothered by hand, their bodies forced through a hatch into oil tankers. In later correspondences, he explains that the actual murders were premeditated. He explains that he'd been giving Shanann Watts oxytocin so she'd miscarry. He also goes on to blame females in his life for his crime. A truly desperate act.